The weight of the rope. Gravity has never known mercy. This chapter guides a meditation on the metaphorical tools people use to end their pain. The tools that can end life do not speak. They are neither political nor religious. They hold no opinion on the pain of the person who reaches for them. You might see them as simple objects, a rope, a few pills, or a train track. In their cold silence lies a powerful and indifferent strength. Think of the rope as a symbol of finality wrapped in suffocating silence. Consider the pill not merely as a drug, but as a calm escape from chaos. Water isn't just vital for life. It can also be the end of suffering. Gravity, which pulls a falling body down, knows no compassion. It is just a natural law. Therefore, it also plays a part in despair, fulfilling the wish of a soul that has lost its reason to live. Yet society, fueled by fear and panic, reacts harshly to such acts. Instead of understanding hidden suffering, people often react with fear, shame, and moral outrage. They try to erase what has happened. People dread seeing the rope, an empty pill bottle, or a note left behind. This is why we rush to clean up after such events, telling stories that are only partly true. We try to hide the truth of how it all unfolded. We often cover up the body after death, but let the soul decay in silence during life. This fear is misplaced, misguided, and ultimately dishonest. Why do we fear the visible consequences of despair while allowing the silence that leads to it? Can we recognize that the most powerful tool of death is silence, which is far worse than any rope? Even when financial struggles consume a household and a person's identity crumbles, we often ignore the systemic poverty that strips a father of his dignity year after year, forcing him to bear burdens that break him down. We overlook the deep loneliness of the elderly woman living alone in a village, who hasn't been seen or spoken to kindly in a decade as her world shrinks to the walls of her home. What we truly fear isn't just the past or present. Do we even consider the trauma from war? The ghosts that haunt soldiers after they return home, as they struggle to find peace? No, we don't, because these slow systemic losses don't bring immediate shame to society. Instead, they are often viewed as burdens or simply as part of life. These issues challenge us to take responsibility for the silence we have all agreed to keep, silence that must be broken for us to move forward. Honestly, the shame we place on survivors reflects our own shame. The culmination of many untold sufferings often leads to the act of ending it all: the rope, the blade, and the poison. These are the final statements to a narrative that began with hidden pain and the cultural order: stay silent or face shame. It's tragic that when a survivor opens their eyes in a hospital bed, they are met with the state's unfeeling gaze. It is troubling how, in Uganda and across Africa, the state often only sees crime instead of wounded people. It fails to recognize these acts as public health issues, and instead views them as a breakdown of order. This institutional cruelty causes me deep anguish, and anger because it is unnecessary and dehumanizing. We should take a closer look at Section 210 of the Penal Code Act, Cap 120, a leftover from colonial times. This law, rooted in the beliefs of the British Empire, continues to influence modern laws in Africa. Despite gaining independence and enacting numerous legal reforms, it remains perplexing that this law endures, like a lingering ghost. Originally, this law stemmed from religious beliefs that individual lives belong to the state or God. Therefore, hurting oneself was a crime against the state's property. This view does not account for complex issues like biochemistry, clinical depression, or deep trauma. It represents a severe lack of understanding of human experiences. As I walk through Kampala, I often notice how the city welcomes those simply trying to live. The boda boda riders laugh, preachers make promises with crackling microphones, and the streets are filled with the smell of roasted corn and diesel. However, if you pause and listen not just to the noise, but to the quiet moments in between, you might begin to hear something deeper, an unspoken sigh. That is when you realize the sound of fatigue has learned to laugh. There have been many reports of suicide in different schools, especially among university students. One well-known case is that of Ashraf, a fourth-year medical radiotherapy student at Makerere University. He was found dead in his hostel room on the morning of September 29, 2019. His roommate saw a suicide note that mentioned personal struggles and feelings that seemed impossible to overcome.